Hey, hi, hello there. Welcome back to another Anthropologist Analyzes Amberlynn. Because why not? I am an anthropologist by training. I am a retired archaeologist, and therein are my credentials. Not doing the whole thing every time. That being said, I thought it would be interesting to look back over Amberlynn's 15 days of uploading and just kind of do like a deep dive into it. Because there were 15 days, I broke it up into days 1 through 5, 6 through 10, and 11 through 15. Interestingly, though, I was going over, well, my notes for one, and I noticed that I was off a day, and I thought I had just, like, miscounted somehow. But what appears to have actually happened is the day that Amberlynn joined Weight Watchers is day 1 for her. So that's interesting to me that she chose that as her day 1. So the first video was actually days 1 through 4, apparently. Anyway. No, I'm sorry, 2 through 6. But I've adjusted, so we're now redoing day 6 and going to day 10. I swear I can talk. So we are going over the videos that are titled, give me a second, I have notes. All right, so we are going over I Fell and Hurt Myself, Done with Weight Watchers, and Best Ice Cream Ever. Where is Feline, Fat versus Skinny Mukbangers, and Eating Panda Express. Having a Breakdown, Self-Sabotage, and Memories of When I Was a Child with Photo. Foodie Beauty lying about her weight. Reaction channels are biased. I mean, I've been pretty upfront about that. And Air Fryer Pork Chops / vlog. And 10, the real reasons I didn't get weight loss surgery and my lipedema pain. All right, so these are all very clickbaity titles, I'm sure. I mean, at this point, these are like going on a month old. I think the youngest one's 3 weeks. But anyway, we've all seen these, is my point. And I've obviously watched these once already. So I've kind of watched a few of them multiple times because reasons. But, oh yes, cat's in the background. There's my boy looking for trouble. He's so fat. He's not really. The vet just doesn't like him being... He's overweight by like a pound. And the vet and I go around about it. He's been the exact same weight for the past 4 years. I think he's solid. But anyway, not a veterinarian either. Back to Amber. There are a couple things that I focused on more than anything else. If you see me looking over this direction, I think it's because I'm looking at my notes. So that's why I'm not paying my full attention. Anyway, there's only a couple different things that I was really focusing on for Amber because there's, first off, as much as there is to talk about, there's not a lot to talk about. Does that make sense? And a lot of the themes kind of roll over from group of days to group of days. The most interesting thing for me is the degrading. No, that's not the word I'm looking for. Well, the erosion of her good mood from day 1. Obviously, day 1 was her having a breakdown and joining Weight Watchers for 6 months and then saying, I'm going to do this for 15 days, which is what started my 15-day journey on Weight Watchers, which my shorts are all up. You can see my opinion on them. But the decline, that's the word I'm looking for. The most interesting thing for me is her decline in attitude from day 1, which of course was her having a breakdown and joining Weight Watchers. And then going on to what would have been day 5 of the last group, which was Meet Mellowlyn, where she was desperately trying to convince us that she was on something and doing an absolute abhorrent job of it. So I still don't believe the D8 storyline, and I just don't believe it. I don't believe that she's doing it or has ever done it. Maybe once in her life she tried a gummy. Yep. So anyway, so she tried to make a video to convince us that it was indeed what was happening, and she was there on camera while indulging. So there's that. And then from day 6 until day 10, we're doing a lot more like popsicle questions because she's running out of ideas, basically. She's running out of content, which does bring me back to something that I've said a few times pretty much in every one of these videos is if she had a script, if she had a format that she followed for every one of her videos. You guys see why I use a background blocker now? If she had that for every one of her videos, she would, even though the content would be dry and repetitive, it would still be there. You know, she would still have a video from start to finish because she would know that like the first 5 minutes she's doing her intro, and then the next 2 minutes she's doing her outfit of the day, her next 3 minutes she's eating whatever she's going to eat on camera that episode, and so on and so forth, you know. She doesn't do that, and so she just kind of flies by the seat of her pants for each one of these, which makes the videos somewhat chaotic. But it also, by the time we get to the end of this, when we get down to day 15, it's very boring because she's run out of ideas, and she just kind of like films whatever, you know, without any kind of thought behind it. My camera is trying to focus on my hand. Things I focused on mostly, I'm like streamlining this as I go. Things I'm focused on mostly are things like her individual behavior and her cultural performance. I did kind of define cultural performance in the first video. I also went over my methods in the first video, so if you want to go watch that, because I really don't want to go over them again. Took a minute and I don't want to do it. Anyway, so I focused on her individual behavior and her cultural performance, her mimicking and mirroring specifically of other YouTubers. I guess I should add TikTokers into that, but I don't watch TikTok, so I don't catch the TikTok things unless people point it out. Probably not going to go on TikTok anytime soon. I say that, and I'm already planning on a Jordan Underwood video, but that's a totally different thing. I'm also focusing on her body image and her food addiction, her interactions with food, her authenticity and her lies, her material culture and consumerism, because that actually fascinates me quite a bit. Her community engagement and her fan culture. I also focused on her parasocial relationships with her audience and the commodifying of her health and obesity, her ignoring of her mental health, her addiction behaviors, and ignoring healthcare. Yeah, and that's where we wrapped that up. So what I did actually do an analysis of each one of the transcripts from day 6 until day 10, and I went back and redid day 10 or day 6 because I have better questions now for chat to use to get me the information I'm wanting to look at. So there's that. Chat GPT, it is innocent. It is an innocent babe, and it thinks that Amber is being open and authentic and available and warm and trying to connect on a positive note with her audience until I give it certain parameters, and then it's like, oh, okay. But it's still basically unbiased, or as unbiased as it can be. I knew someone was going to come for me and be like, hey, technology can't be unbiased because XYZ. I know that. I know. I went to school. It's as unbiased as it is possible to be, and I've been very clear about that. So, that being said, let's go all the way back and start talking about her individual behavior and cultural performances throughout the videos. I'm not going to go over the videos individually, mainly because we'll be here all day, and I really am trying to keep these around an hour. So, these 5 days that we're going over, Amber starts off giving us clickbaity titles, admitting to not being on Weight Watchers anymore, which we already knew. She likes to dangle Feline. She thinks that the audience is still very invested in Feline, when in reality, at this point, the audience is getting very tired. And I know this because I was glancing at comments and myself, and other reactors. The audience is getting very tired of the breakup era. They're also, nobody really cares about Feline as a character. It's not like not in a mean way, no one cares. It's just, we've never been able to, as an audience, to connect with and or get to know Feline. So Feline's absence isn't felt that much. Like, we don't have any connection to that character. So when that character is removed from the storyline, it doesn't affect us in any way because there's no difference in our interactions if the character is there versus the character not being there. It's the thing that you do in writing too. If you want people to care about a character, you have to make the character relatable. If you just introduce a character quickly and then immediately like off them in the next page, no one cares about that character's death because no one had a chance to get to know the character. I'm not saying Feline's dead. I'm just making an analogy between writing. Feline has moved on. Feline, I don't know if Feline is still living there. I don't really care one way or the other. It is very clear to me, and I think anyone who's watching, that Feline has at least emotionally, possibly mentally left the relationship. She's still physically there for some strange reason, but I think it's just because her name's on the lease. I don't know. Don't care either, really. She also tries to really sell this breakdown. She's really trying to get as much sympathy from this breakup to the point where she's treating this breakup as if there was a death in the family. And then she's being impacted by this breakup as if someone close to her has passed away. And nobody's really buying it because she comes off very inauthentic when she expresses emotion on camera because, and this is my opinion, I think she does feel these emotions off camera, but when she comes on camera, she is rehearsed and is performing those emotions for the audience. And so they come off unauthentic because they are clearly being active. It's very acted. They are very performative. Her tears are performative. Her breakdowns are performative. Her crying is performative. It doesn't come off as being real because she's a bad actor in many definitions of that word. But as an actress herself, she's bad at it. And she can't sell emotions because she's a bad actor. She then goes on to, she's got this thing for Foodie Beauty, and I don't know why, but she really tries to white knight for Foodie Beauty. And that one puzzles me a great deal because Foodie does not like Amber and has made herself very clear about how much she doesn't like Amber. And I don't know why Amber continues to try to make inroads with her because it just makes no sense. It's like Amber views Foodie as being like the popular girl squad leader, and she's trying desperately to get in with the popular girls. So she's trying to like suck up to the squad leader. And I would not in any real world situation put Foodie into that kind of a category, but it feels like that's what Amber has done. Honestly, the reverse situation would probably be more realistic because Foodie is not someone to look up to. Anyway, again, we get yelled at for being reaction channels and not caring enough about Amber's constant emotional state. I care as far as I'm making a video about it, so you're living rent-free in my head for the 8 hours it took me to put this together. And then we get for the finale on day 10, which is not the finale of the 15 days, but on day 10, we get the real reason why I didn't get weight loss surgery, which was interesting to me. I have been saying for a while that the honeymoon with her and Feline has been over because there's just subtle bits of language that Amber has used over the past 3 months leading up to the breakup where things have subtly started to become Feline's fault as to why Amber didn't do or wasn't able to do something. Reality of it is it was Amber's fault, but instead it was something like, oh, I can't record because Feline's working from home today, or oh, I can't go somewhere because Feline has an appointment, or I wanted to do XYZ, but Feline did ZYX kind of a thing. And they were very subtle, but they were there. And that for me was like the sign that the honeymoon was over. Feline was no longer the golden child anymore. And this, on day 10, this real reason for why the weight loss surgery didn't go through, she 100% just throws Feline under the bus for this one. After already telling us that the real reason she didn't get the weight loss surgery was because she didn't feel like she was ready for it. That's what started. That was like the last big reveal right before the breakup occurred. And she made it pretty clear in those videos that she was the one who had made the decision not to go forward with the weight loss surgery, even though everyone around her said she was ready for it. She knew she wasn't ready for it. I think the weight loss was all smoke and mirrors from a very far back point onward. So in this one, she gets a popsicle question asking, you know, or no, I think she just brings it up. Sorry. And she's like, yeah, the reason I didn't get the weight loss surgery is because I would need someone to take care of me in my recovery. And, you know, the breakup, blah, blah, blah. I couldn't ask Feline to do that. You know, Feline and I were breaking up and all that good jazz. And it was just, the breakup occurred after she had told us that she wasn't getting the weight loss surgery, and B, she had already been very adamant about the weight loss surgery being her decision. So it was just a way of throwing Feline under the bus. And that was on day 10. So a lot actually happened between day 6 and day 10. It was just stretched out for 5 days. So that kind of a thing. Now, topics that we've discussed a little bit in the first 5 videos and that we are going to kind of go over here are, again, her cultural performance. Amber has an idea of who Amber is, or at least she has an idea of the Amber she wants us all to see. And so that's the Amber she projects at us. And we see that Amber through things like the way that she talks, the material culture that she presents to us to show us. And there's a lot of that going on in these videos because she's packing to move. I do think she might be moving, or I do think she thinks she's going to be moving. I don't know how successful that's going to end up being, but she does truly believe she's going to be moving, in my opinion. She also wants us to believe that she's actually working towards weight loss and she's actually trying to better her health. And she does that with bringing it up a lot and performing the motions that she thinks someone who was losing weight would need to go through. But then there's like a whole contradictory thing, and we'll get to that when we talk about authenticity. I'm just going to stumble all over everything. The other thing that's really interesting that I think slips out, I don't know if she intentionally wants us to know this, but she likes to talk about her appearance a lot, and she's very concerned about how she looks. And don't get me wrong, I am a vain queen myself, but it's interesting to me that on the one hand, she'll be like, y'all shouldn't be judging me for the way I look, and then turns around and just immediately starts pointing out every physical flaw about herself. And then she puts on makeup and she thinks it's like a Cinderella transformation kind of a thing. And it's like, yeah, your makeup looks nice. And I mean, you've put on clean clothes and it's clear that you've attempted something with your hair, which is more than I do on a regular basis. But it's just interesting to me that like she thinks that act of putting on a costume, because that's all costuming right there. Makeup is costuming, clothing is costuming, doing our hair is costuming. And she does all of that and thinks that suddenly she's better, like physically better. Not better than everyone else, but just better than she had been without all of that on. So on the one hand, she's very shallow and very vain when it comes to her outward physical appearance, but doesn't do the things inwardly to maintain a healthy outward appearance. Like, what I mean is like eating healthier foods to make sure that your skin stays clear. That's something that you would want to do if you wanted to have good skin and nice hair. You would want to make sure that you're eating the things, or at least taking supplements that would encourage better skin, better hair, that kind of a thing. Instead of taking care of the root issue, Amber wants to just cover it up. So again, this is the whole difference between performing being healthy, like for her, a healthy person, a healthy person does their hair, puts on makeup, changes their clothes. And yes, that is true. Someone who is mentally healthy and usually physically healthy will do those things because it's an improvement. It improves the outward appearance. But in my opinion, someone who was truly concerned about what they look like outside of the costumes and the makeup would also take care of their internal self, like drinking enough water and eating the right foods and getting exercise and getting some sun exposure so that your skin's not gray, you know, that kind of a thing. Amber doesn't do any of that. So again, is it because Amber doesn't understand the connection between these healthy activities and looking good? Or is it Amber doesn't actually genuinely care about her health? She just wants to look good on the outside. A counter example for that is, of course, Eugenie Clooney, who is it Clooney or Cooney? I don't know now. I've confused myself. Anyway, Eugenia, who terrifies me. I've been very clear about that. You know how some people have a fear of clowns? I have a fear of Eugenia that same way. Like, so you can't have a picture of a clown in a room with someone who's terrified of clowns. It's like that for me with Eugenia. So just FYI, you know, giving you my deep dark secrets for you to catch me with later. Anyway, Eugenia, the things that I have seen of her, she's very concerned about how her hair looks. She puts on makeup. I'm not going to comment because I don't like anything about it. She's always wearing what would be very attractive, kind of sexy clothing on someone else. I'll just put it that way. But that's the thing. Eugenia is more concerned about her outward appearance and what she thinks makes her look good outwardly than she is concerned about what she's putting inside her body, if anything. Because if she was, Eugenia bothers me. But it's the same kind of thing. It's just vast extremes on either side. You've got Amber over here who will consume anything and doesn't put any kind of consideration into what it does to her outward appearance. And you've got Eugenia who will consume nothing and still thinks that they look fabulous on the outside. It's the same delusion. My thing with Amber, though, is does she know she's doing it, or is she unaware that she's doing it? I don't know. And I haven't seen enough to really make that call, I guess. So that's and I'll probably come back to cultural performance because it's kind of like the overarching theme of all of these videos. We're watching Amber perform. We're watching her perform what I've been calling the new Lynn. She's been developing a new persona that she uses online, and I'm not sure if this persona is going to stick or not, but she has, at least during these 15 days especially, she was very much focused on creating a new version of herself. And instead of presenting it to the audience as this is new, improved Lynn, she's trying to convince us that it's what she's always done. Like with the showering thing, you know, I have a routine at night. I take a shower and then I scroll on TikTok and then I go to bed at a reasonable hour. And we're like, okay, I believe you scroll on TikTok. And the rest of that has never been demonstrated. So that kind of a thing. All right. Let's talk about body image and food addiction. It has become clear to me, not just in these 15 days, but in the stuff I've watched since, that, at least in my opinion, again, I don't think Amber understands what her body actually looks like. And that is very subtly hinted at. Like, she never directly says anything like that during the 15 days, but it's something that we pick up on when we watch her try on clothes and even the makeup. Yeah, you can paint your face up and you can do your makeup in the style that is popular for the time being. Like with her winged eyeliner. I will give her props. She's got winged eyeliner on point. Her eyebrows always look like trash. She is still figuring out where blush goes. I'm not even going to talk about her application of her foundation. That kind of stuff. but her wings are dead on point. Okay. It's just that all strikes me as very odd. I would figure if you knew how to do like when I do my makeup that I haven't done ever that you've seen, I don't think I've ever worn makeup on here. I'm not an expert at all, but I have like a style that I do that's very subtle. And it's all of my application is, I would say, adequate. It's not like starlet level. It's certainly not professional level, but it's like everyday adequacy level. And it's all at that adequate level. I don't have one thing that I do. Like, I don't put my blush on better than any other part of my face. And I just think it's kind of strange that like she's got that winged eyeliner down, but like the rest of it just kind of falls apart. I just think it's kind of weird, but that's a me opinion and it has absolutely nothing to do with any of it. The body image part though, Amber, you can tell that Amber is bigger than she thinks she is just watching her interact with her environment. She's convinced herself that she is stronger, faster, has more stamina, is actually healthier than she truly is. And I think she's convinced that that's really what she is. I think Amber has the image of herself from back when she started YouTube, way back in the day when she was under 400 pounds. I think she was just over 350. I don't remember exactly, but I think she still has that image of herself in her head, even though she's like 600 pounds. I know she's not quite exactly 600 pounds, but at the weight that she's at, does it really matter? She's basically 600 pounds, okay? Is my point. And it just kind of shows with the way that she interacts with and the way she talks about her body. She's also very aware of what her audience thinks of her body, and she clearly does not agree. Now, to be fair, usually when her audience is commenting on her body, it's something really terrible, like calling her names and that kind of stuff. So I understand why she's just dismissive of that, because that's how you handle that. You just dismiss it and move on. But it's clear that even when she's given, sometimes she actually gets real advice, which again, the stuff she has to filter through in her comments section, it's probably difficult for her to get to the good advice versus the bad advice versus the name calling. But even when she does get that good advice, she is often dismissive, or she'll say something like, "Oh, thanks," or something like that, and then just completely move on with life. And yeah, and chat kind of hits it on here. Her transparency about her weight and food choices is central to her online identity, her online persona. And I think chat's right. I have for a long time suspected that Amber doesn't actually have any interest in losing weight. She says she does. And I think if you gave Amber the option of just waking up thin one morning, she would 100% jump on it. But at this point in Amber's life, this is Amber. Her identity is being this person it's her identity. And to lose weight would be to lose that identity. Does that come up in this one? Yeah, in the episode where she's talking about, where did it go? Oh, in day 9, where she's talking about reaction channels are biased, she's actually laying into one of the reaction channels, I believe is Alex's Shook, about saying something to the effect of, if Amber lost weight, no one would watch her anymore. And I don't actually agree with that whatsoever, but I think the reality of it is if Amber were to genuinely start losing weight and genuinely start becoming healthier, she would lose some of her audience. I would imagine she'd lose, I don't know, about a third of her audience, maybe a fourth to a third of her audience. But after those people left, she would get an influx of new people who would fill that hole in. So her audience wouldn't so much shrink as much as it would shift. Does that make sense? And Amber doesn't understand that it would shift and become the positive space she claims she wants it to be She doesn't understand that. All she hears is no one will watch me or I'll lose viewers because I've lost weight. And so now that's an attack on her identity and it's an attack on her brand as well. And so Amber perceives that as a threat, which I think also contributes to Amber not actually wanting to lose weight because she's afraid of what will happen to her channel and to her socially if she does. It's a legitimate fear. But it's just a fear. Okay. It's not a life-threatening fear. Therefore, I don't take it seriously. And I'm also kind of the mind of, fear is the mind killer. So that's a fear that you could and should push past. But Amber's not going to do that because that's not what Amber does. Amber runs up against a wall and just go. Amber doesn't even run up against a wall. Amber runs up against a piece of toilet paper that's been stretched across a doorway and then wetted down significantly and just goes, and gives up. So I watch people do that to their cats. Not the wetting the toilet paper part, but you put the toilet paper across the doorway and then the cat goes and like has no idea what it's supposed to do. Or doesn't care. More likely, it doesn't care. More about body image. Okay, so body image also... Chat, for whatever reason, lumped body image and food together. We're not going to talk about those two things together here. Okay. But... all right, so we are going to talk about food. Food. I don't even know if I say it right anymore. Food. In my opinion, my very, very strong opinion that is not backed by anything, I think Amber's a food addict. Or at least food addiction is part of Amber's other issues. It is a manifestation of what is actually wrong with her, and it's gotten her to 600 pounds. And because of that, I do tend to have just kind of a ick feeling when she eats on camera. But on top of being a food addict, Amber understands that her audience likes to watch her eat. I know there's a good chunk of us in the reaction community and in the hater nation who don't like watching her eat because A, it's gross in general. I don't like watching anyone eat. There's no one on this planet that I would enjoy watching eat except for maybe a kitten. I will watch a kitten eat, and my weirdo striped cat. He eats weird. Those aren't people, though. There is no living human being that I would enjoy watching eat, including Amber, all right? But there seems to be a significant portion of her audience that it really do enjoy it, okay? Amber, on the one hand, seems to think that it's just harmless ASMR, her eating. I get my ASMR kick somewhere else, thank you. And I think I mentioned this in the first video, she genuinely gets pleasure from eating in front of the camera. It's not even eating for other people. That's incidental. It's the act of eating while the camera is watching her. She enjoys that. One could even say it's a particular adult like of hers. It also leads into her creating content, basically short form content for adults who enjoy watching other adults eat large quantities of food for pleasure. I hope we all understand what I'm saying here. And Amber, the other thing that really is interesting is Amber truly, I think, wants to be a mukbang. Sorry. Amber truly wants to be a mukbanger. She wants to be able to do... she wants to be able to do, like, the spicy ramen challenge where she eats, like, 9 packets of that super spicy ramen, which is delicious, by the way. Not 9 packets of it, but it's just, like, one normal person sizing. Those are actually really good. One of my top favorite things. But Amber wants to be the person who goes and gets, like, 5 family buckets of KFC and then proceeds to eat it on camera. It's not just because Amber wants to be able to consume that much food in any given time. I think she does. I think that idea does make her excited and she wants that, but she also wants to eat the food on camera for an audience. All right. So, because she is getting pleasure from that. It's like being a food exhibitionist, I guess. I hope that one doesn't get me in trouble, but it's the same kind of thing. Instead of running around with nothing on underneath a trench coat and going, woo, she puts a whole bunch of food in front of the camera and puts on a show of eating it. My cats have like this toy on the door and they like to box it. So she's over here boxing her door tour. Are you done? Can you be done for the time being? Little Miss Noisemaker. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. All the way here. Yes, I'm going to grab you. I know. I'm a horrible person. Oh my goodness. He's my little door boxer. Stop, stop, stop. Chill out. He's my little door boxer. She's like, why are you doing this to me? I just want you to face the camera. Look at your camera. Look at how cute I am. Am I not the most adorable girl that's ever girled? There you go. Anyway, we have a tail here. All right, so that's my take on Amber's relationship with food. Like, or at least... Amber's relationship with eating food on camera. Amber clearly has an unhealthy relationship with food, even though she knows more about nutrition than anyone, you guys. She could be a nutritionist. And actually, she probably could be, honestly, oddly enough. Amber has the surface level knowledge that she needs to get healthy and be healthy and make healthy decisions. Like, she knows what she needs to do, but that's where the knowledge stops. She doesn't know how to apply it. She doesn't know how to maintain it. And also, she doesn't have the drive to do either of those two things because, again, I don't think she actually wants to lose weight. There is nothing in any of these episodes, especially these 15 days, where, remember, we started these 15 days as a Weight Watchers journey, okay? We abandoned that on like day 1 or day 2. I'll be generous. The day after the first day. And then we finally admit that we're not doing it anymore on, what was it, day 6? So the 6th day into this 15 days of uploading, she finally gets around to admitting she's not doing Weight Watchers anymore after she's joined Weight Watchers on camera for 6 months. It can be argued that she didn't actually join it, that she just kind of like clicked through the intro screen and never actually paid for it. You know, it can be said that actually maybe happened. She's done Weight Watchers so many times, she probably has this stuff memorized, but she was using the app and it did have points on it. So I'm going to guess, I'm going to guess she did actually have to pay for it, because I did. So there's that. Anyway, that was the whole point of these 15 days. That was the start, the driving point of these 15 days of uploading. And she didn't even do that for 3 days, okay? Which is not unusual for Amber. Like, I'm impressed she made all 15 days. I'm proud. I'm proud that she made 15 days. But it was supposed to be 15 days of Weight Watchers, and all we got was 15 days of consecutive uploading. Which is why we're analyzing habits and behaviors as opposed to whether or not she was successful in Weight Watchers. Spoilers, she was not. Mirroring and mimicking is another thing that I'm really fascinated with, only because I've been able to catch her at least twice now, damn near copying something word for word, scene for scene. And I mentioned this in the first video. Mirroring and mimicking are not, how to put this? Mirroring and mimicking are normal human behaviors. We all do it. We've all done it. We will all continue to do it into our advanced age, okay? It is something that we as humans do. It is a survival mechanism. It allows for community. It allows for cohesion within a group. It's important, okay? The point where mimicking and mirroring gets basically problematic and or toxic is when you have someone who does not have a sense of self or someone who wants to blend in a manipulative kind of way, or just in general wants to become part of a group so badly that they will change every aspect of themselves. These are all three. These are three different people, but they're all examples of how mirroring and mimicking can become problematic and or toxic. Okay. Amber, I think in this pursuit of creating new Lynn, I think Amber is indulging in trait shopping right now. It's something we have seen her do in the past. This is not a new behavior. This is something she's done in the past. But on top of this trait shopping, she's also trying out new stories and things like that. Like the whole I choked on a potato thing. I don't think that was during the 15 days, but I became aware of it during the 15 days. That's apparently a scene nearly completely ripped off from the movie The Whale. I know someone corrected me that it was not a potato that Brendan Fraser choked on, but a sandwich. But other than the choice of food, the behavior, the story appears to be verbatim. And then the infamous, now this was part of the 15 days, the infamous shirt string. I actually kind of want to get one and just like pin it onto my shirts from now on to make sure it can be seen. Like wear it like an accessory these days. Anyway, because I'm petty, that's why. But she basically was copying another YouTuber. I believe it's Kendall Ray. I'm almost positive I'm saying that wrong. Anyway, they do true crime. I still haven't watched any of their videos. But Amber copied that, again, nearly verbatim. And then we're also talking about the toxic gossip train clip. Was that during this one? It was during the 15 days, but I'm not sure if it's during the 5 days I'm talking about. And another part of this mirroring and mimicking behavior is also the constant name dropping. Like she always is talking about during these 15 days, she's constantly talking about the H3H3 podcast. Again, I don't listen to it. And I figured out that she was naming off people who are hosts of said podcast, or at least like reoccurring personalities on the podcast. And she name drops them as if they are friends or as if they know each other. And she's just waiting for H3H3 to give her a call to come onto the show at any time. I would not recommend that to anyone. The few things that I've seen about H3H3, that does not seem like a safe space for anyone, let alone someone like Amber. I don't think Amber could. I think that would be like throwing a bound and gagged, bleeding individual into a pool full of man-eating sharks. I don't think it would go well, is my point. I wouldn't watch that episode. It would be too painful. But Amber really does think that she's on that level. Amber, and we've seen this with other influencers and TikTokers, again, going back to the mustard chick doing the mustard diet on TikTok. Amber really does think she's like a top tier level influencer. And to her credit, she does have quite a few subscribers to the point where she can get the silver button. I mean, I don't know what it takes to get either of the buttons, but I don't know how far she is from actually getting a gold button. But I wouldn't be terribly surprised if she wasn't that far from it, honestly. So on the one hand, we don't view her as being an influencer because she's really not influencing people to do much, but she is one of these top tier watched channels for other reasons. I don't think she understands the difference. This is my opinion. I don't think, just judging by her behavior and the things that she says, I don't think Amber understands the difference between what makes H3H3 a top tier influence channel versus her. I don't think she gets the difference. Maybe she does, and she's just doing ye old fake it till you make it, which can be successful given certain situations, but the act of faking it till you make it is only successful if while you're faking it, you're actively making it. Does that make sense? Like, you walk into a business situation or your new job, you walk into your new job and you're trying to fit in. This goes back to mimicking and mirroring. And so you start faking that you're supposed to be there, yeah, I belong here. I know what I'm doing. I'm an expert. I'm this, I'm that, you don't have to come to me. I come to you, kind of a thing, whatever. But while you're putting up that front, you are also actively learning and practicing the behaviors and the knowledge that you need to be that person. Does that make sense? And again, we all do it. We've all done it. We will all continue to do it. It is a human behavior. I want to hit on, real quick, her material culture and her consumerism. I know I said this in the first video. Amber's a consumer. Amber likes to buy. She likes to acquire. She likes to purchase. She likes the rush of being able to do those things. She doesn't necessarily care about the stuff after she's acquired it. And we see this with the journals, and the purses and the dishes and any other time, the closet. Anytime she's going through and purging things, we see her disregard for the stuff that she owns. And then we see her, with the purses anyway, she shows us all these purses that she's getting rid of, and then shows us that she's bought 2 new purses that are basically identical. There's just one's black and one's green or something like that. Because she goes places and she needs to be able to match her purse to her outfit, which, okay. But she's more excited about these 2 new purses that she just purchased than she is about the supposed expensive purses that she's keeping, or even the purses that she's chosen to get rid of. She has more of an emotional attachment to the thing that she just bought versus things that she's had or has maintained in the past. She does try to convince us that, she's got emotional attachments to objects that Feline has gotten her, but she says it, but I don't see the behavior to back up that statement at any point during these 15 days or beyond that point. This is me speculating. I think that goes back to the transient nature of her childhood. She probably didn't have a lot of possessions that were hers and hers alone. So the act of becoming connected to an object emotionally is not something that she experienced. And so for her, the act of obtaining objects is more emotionally fulfilling than the act of having an object that you can look at and have a memory of, because I just think maybe she didn't have that experience because of the fact that she was constantly being shuffled around as a child. She just never had that stability, I guess, or the chance to do that. Which I think also feeds into her shopaholic behaviors. Is she grew up poor. She didn't have a lot. What she did have, was it even actually hers? I mean, we know she was in homes. We know she was in foster care. We know she got shuffled around a lot until she was out of the system. And then once she was out of the system, it sounds like she was basically just like, oh, you're an adult now, go have a good time, kind of a thing, which I don't doubt. I don't doubt these things. And the reason I don't doubt them is because her current mentality and behavior that we see in these, in her videos backs that up. So she has the behavior and the mentality of someone who went through these experiences early. Okay. I mean, obviously we wouldn't go through them now. We're adults. Can't come in here and tell me where I'm going to live. Anyway, I think in some situations you can, and that is another one of my great phobias. And the last thing I want to hit on before I wrap this up is, where is it? Come on, notes, don't fail me now. Talked about it. Parasocial relationships. There we go. I did want to talk about commodification, but her commodifying her weight, her obesity, her eating on camera, the mukbangs, that kind of stuff is very evident. she even admits to it. She will say things like, it's my body, I'm allowed to do this. You know, anytime many of us comment on her grief or put compilations together about her, specifically her physicalness, her physical appearance, she's always like, it's my appearance, I'm allowed to do it. It's me, it's mine. She has a point, but you're the one that put it on the internet. So if you don't want people doing something with your stuff, don't put it on the internet where they can see it. But back to parasocial relationships. Amber desperately tries to create a relationship with her audience that is not toxic. The toxic relationship is and is not her fault. There is a point that she has contributed to people becoming toxic towards her. But I also truly believe that at some point that snowball effect that happens has occurred. And so now there's an entire group of people who it doesn't matter what she says, what she does, anything. She will always be this horrible, mistrustful, icky person. And I don't think that's actually within her realm of control, but she still gets affected by it. And these are the people that I would refer to as being actual trolls. People who send her little Debbies in the mailbox, people who do the exact thing that she asks us not to do multiple times and then turn around and does it anyway, simply to get a reaction or a rise out of her. Sometimes it works. But in general, she's trying to foster a positive relationship with her audience. And she wants to be, I said this in the first one, she wants to be our big sister. She wants to be our confidant. She wants to view us as her younger siblings or her younger cousins who can come to her with our problems, with our questions, and we can ask her about her life experiences and she can bequeath knowledge upon us because she is vastly more experienced in life than we are. That's the role Amber truly wants to play with her audience. The other end of that is Amber constantly turns to her audience looking for validation, looking for advice, specifically health and mental health advice, which blows my mind. She treats her audience as if they are her therapists, and I comment on that constantly. None of these behaviors I think are healthy. My personal opinion, I don't think they're healthy. There's a difference between being friendly with your audience and talking with your audience and going back and forth with your audience in the comments section and even disagreeing with your audience. Like, these are all things that we sign up for when we do this, whether we like it or not. I do enjoy interacting, but I mean, there's times where I'm just kind of like, but I think that's true of everyone, you know? I think Amber gets so much negative feedback that that form of interaction for her is probably very overwhelming, which I think is why you hear so much about her DMs. She prefers her DMs. I don't know if she has more control over filtering the DMs than she does like the comment section or what. I don't know. Maybe she just hasn't learned how to like block trolls on YouTube. I don't know. But she very much wants to curate this image of being helpful and being together and being open and being emotionally vulnerable, because she's constantly saying that people tell me that they really appreciate how emotionally vulnerable and open I'm being during this breakup. Yeah, and there's a bunch of us who are telling you to grow up and get over it too. So which one of us are you choosing to listen to? And honestly, she shouldn't be listening to any of us. It's her breakup. If she wants to drag this out for 3 months, then we're screwed. But if that's what she wants to do, there's nothing we can do about it. And she shouldn't overly care. Now, if she wants her channel to be successful, she should care. But I mean, there's a real strong argument there too, that she's not that interested in it. Which does go back to her using this as a form of journaling and a form of therapy. And that's not the best idea, in my opinion, because the internet by default is very hostile to everyone, especially women. So why you would do that? And I mean, maybe she's just not aware of that, or maybe she doesn't care. I don't know, but I wouldn't put my most vulnerable moments on the internet for anyone. But I'm not Amber. However, these moments within her videos do tend to get more views because these are the moments within her videos that people tend to clip out and make compilations out of, or go back over and criticize very nitty picky, like I'm doing. So at the same time that I'm like, this is boring, we're over it, move on. At the same time, she's seeing the numbers that tell a contradictory story. Does that make sense? So there's that contentious relationship that she has with her audience. On the one hand, she's desperate to make us her friends because she doesn't have real life friends to fall back on. She won't go to her therapist, and I'm not positive she actually has a doctor and or a therapist. So she uses her audience to fill those roles as well, which is terrible ideas, by the way. But at the same time, she has this very toxic, very hostile part of her audience that are very vocal and very active, and she reacts to it instead of like setting it aside or blocking it. She reacts to it and addresses it and mentions it in her videos, which is exactly what you don't want to do if you want this stuff to go away. But if interacting with that negative part of her audience gets her more views and gets more clicks and thereby gets more revenue for that video, as a business person, why wouldn't you do that? The internet has a bias towards the most negative, nasty, heinous stuff on it. And part of that is human behavior. And the other part of that is faulty algorithms that are never going to get fixed. So we're stuck with it. But the end result is Amber gets paid more on the videos where she eats food in front of the camera, says nasty shit about her audience, and reacts poorly to the trolls than she gets when she's being positive, doing the damn thing she needs to be doing, and being nice to her audience. All right. That's the nature of the beast, unfortunately, for Amber. So if Amber is concerned about money, which she tends to be, not in a panicky kind of way, she's very laissez-faire about money, honestly. And she doesn't go on about it too frequently. And people, I think, read way too much into the few comments she makes about her money. But this is her income. This is the only income she has. She doesn't even have a side gig along with this. You know, she doesn't have a Patreon. She's got the Cameo. She's got Cameo, but you're not going to convince me that's income. But that's it. She doesn't have any kind of like sponsorship. She doesn't have any deals. She's got merch, but does anyone actually buy it? And it's not very creative merch on top of it. She has no fallback. This is her income. If this dries up, she's screwed. So I forget what my other hand was going to be. Oh, but she genuinely, I think, wants a positive, happy, friendly community in her comment section. So what do? I mean, this is the same reason why she won't lose weight. Yes, if she starts to visibly lose weight and starts to visibly get healthy, she's going to lose this negative section of her comments, of her audience, and they're going to go away, but a new group of people are going to come take their spot. She doesn't understand that new group of people are going to step in, even though these are the people she wants. These happy, supportive, friendly people, these are the people she wants in her audience, but she's not willing to do the thing that she needs to do because in the short term, it's going to be a hit, a financial hit, and a viewership hit. All right? So it's the devil I know versus the devil I don't know kind of a thing. All right. I think that's enough for days 6 through 10. If you have made it this far, I know I did gold star in the last one, so, put an A or an A plus. I think you can just put an A. I know there's letters. I know I'm bad at the emoji game, but I know there's letters. Put an A. A? Can I do that? Nope. No, I cannot. Never mind. Just put a letter A in the comment section or an A plus because you have made it this far. And be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you've sat through 2 of these, you might as well subscribe. It's just what I'm saying. Okay. Please be sure to give it a like. You can thumbs it down too. I don't think the algorithm gives a crap. And if you have comments or questions, or if I started a train of thought and then completely lost it, feel free to point that out to me, and I will try to, I think I'm going to gather together all of the comments from the 3 of these videos that I'm going to do, and I think I'm going to do a 4th roundup video at the end. So if you have things that you want to comment about or topics that you think I might need to address, go ahead and put them in the comment section. I don't guarantee that I'm going to go over it, but if it seems relevant, I will. I'm just giving myself that there, and I don't want to give you the false impression that I'm going to go over every freaking comment that everyone has left, because this has been a very popular series. There are a lot of comments. That being said, I truly appreciate everyone who is already a subscriber, and I truly appreciate my members. I actually truly appreciate everyone who takes the time to give this a thumbs up, because all of that helps the channel. This channel has blown up over the past, it's not even 2 months old. It just celebrated its 1 month anniversary on the 3rd. So y'all, I'm glad that you enjoy what I'm doing, because I'm enjoying doing it. So there's that. And yep. Yeah, that's it. A or A+ emoji. Give us a thumbs up and subscribe. Thank you to everybody who supports the channel, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye!